Alright, we're going to go ahead and start with tearing this thing down. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the steering off of it. That's going to include the steering stabilizer from the pitman arm all the way to the right side over to the driver's side. We're going to get all the steering components off of this truck. We're going to do a complete tear down before we start putting it back together, putting all the new parts on. So first thing first, I'm going to go ahead and get this steering stabilizer loose. Looks like that might be a 19. Let's see here. I always put the hardware back where it goes so that I don't lose track of it, just in case if it's going to be a longer job. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break this free over here, which is going to separate from the pitman arm over to the right side. We've got a castle nut down here with a cotter pin. Fold this back. Just like that. Cotter pin out, get the retainer off. This looks like a 21 maybe. Now I always leave this nut on a couple of threads while I break this free. There's the bottom one broken free. It's free. And this one right here, we'll have to get that up there loose before it'll come out because it hits on the sway bar. Same thing up here, we've got a cotter key. That out, take the retainer off. That one's a bigger, that's a 24. That one's on there pretty good. We're gonna and just like the other one, I'm gonna leave it on a few threads. I'm gonna see if I can whack this one. I'm replacing the gearbox anyway, so looks like I'm gonna need the pickle fork on that one. Alright guys, I finally got that one loose. That one was a little bit more of a bear than most of them. Most of the time, a couple whacks on there, these things will come loose. This one, not so much. Most likely this thing's been on here for a long time. So now that it's loose, we'll go ahead and take the nut the rest of the way loose and get this bar off of here. Again, I like to put the hardware back where it was, just in case if it needs to be identified or found later on. And then there's that bar completely off of there. So next, I'm going to go ahead and get this side over here loose on the left knuckle, so I can go ahead and get the drag link and everything off of there. So the steering components will be completely off of here. Cotter key out and the retainer off. Definitely been on there for a minute. And just like that, we have these steering components off of this truck. Next thing, I'll reset up the camera and we'll work on removing the knuckles. You get both of those off of there so that we can go back together with this thing. Alright guys, we're going to continue with the disassembly of one side of the knuckles. This is the right side. Obviously we're going to do this on both sides of the vehicle. First thing first, I'm going to go ahead and get the brake caliper off. Get the brake caliper bracket off, get the rotor off. Those will have to come off. This truck's going to get new brakes whenever it goes back together. And then after that, we will disassemble the locking hub assembly. Consists of a few Torx bolts here, and then there's a snap ring in there that's not exactly the most fun to get to, but it's got to come out in order to get the axle loose from the hub assembly. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing first, let's go ahead and get these caliper bolts loose, and then we'll have to pry the caliper just a little bit to release the pressure from the brake pads. That way we can get this caliper off, and then we'll use a hanger and get it hung up here. Alright, this is a 16 mil. This top one right here, the brake line is kind of in the way, so it's a little difficult sometimes to get it loose. Right, now next thing is we're going to pry this caliper back just a little bit. By doing that, I just stick a pry bar in between here, making sure not to be in the pad area. I go in the in between the rotor and the there's some openings on the side over here, and we may not be able to get too much of it there. Let's go ahead and bolts out, and then we're just gonna All right, now that that's free, I use one of these little S hooks. That way I can just hang it up here and keep pressure off of the brake line. Next thing I'm going to do is get this brake line loose right here. That way we'll free up a little bit of slack in the cable. We're going to remove this vacuum line for the four-wheel drive hub. Next one is going to be a 10mm bolt right here for the brake line. That will free up this bracket to where it can move a little bit further. Now, next thing, we're going to get this caliper bracket off, get these brake pads out of the way. Okay, now we should be able to remove the rotor. Sometimes they're stuck. And don't hit it on this area right here if you plan on reusing the rotor. This truck doesn't matter because they're going to get new rotors anyways whenever I do the new brakes. But sometimes they are stuck down here. Give it a couple of whacks. Rotate. It will eventually free up. This one right here is pretty well stuck. I may shoot it with some PB blaster around this edge right here and let it soak for a moment. That way I can get it off without damaging it. Even though I'm going to reuse these, I just want to show you guys the proper way if you're going to have to reuse the rotor. We'll let that soak for a minute. We've got a couple of other things we need to take loose right here. The speed sensor wire, it's an 8mm. There are 3 bolts on that to get it loose from here, and then the 2 over here on the spring perch. There's one more that's going to hold the speed sensor in. We'll get to that after the rotor's off. Now I am using just some basic hand tools, because I figured if you guys are going to be attempting this as a DIY, you're probably not going to have all of the power tools like what I've got. I have electric ratchets, different size impacts, stuff like that that help make my job easier. But I figured when I'm doing this video here that it's more likely to help you DIYers out, and you may not have access to those, so I'm going to do this entire job with as basic of hand tools as I can. Alright, let's try whacking this rotor a couple more times, get it off. We're getting some movement on it now. There we go. This thing was on there, which is very surprising. This is a Texas truck, so it's not all rusted and clapped out like, you know, some of the northern trucks are. So going from here, we can either take the speed sensor off from right here, which is an Allen bolt, or we can unhook it up here and then just remove the line and then take it with the hub bearing whenever you pull the hub assembly off. But next we're going to go in and get this hub off. That looks like about a T30. Let's see, T27. Once you have the 3 bolts out, this unit sometimes is also stuck. I will just lightly pry on it from the edge of it if need be. break it free. There is a seal in between there. And just kind of walk this thing out. We will be replacing that seal with we have a hub seal reseal kit. It's gonna have new O-rings, new gasket for this, new bolts, and then all of the vacuum knuckle seals as well. So we're gonna set this aside. We're gonna try to keep the dust and dirt out of this because this is greased, and we're gonna add a little bit more grease whenever we go back together just to make sure that this thing's well lubed, because these things can stick if they don't have the proper lubrication on them. This is what engages and disengages your four-wheel drive, both vacuum and manual. These seals have to work in order for the vacuum section to work, which is using your switch on the dash. If you're having to come out and lock these hubs, more than likely you've got either a bad O-ring, bad knuckle seal, bad vacuum line, or possibly a bad vacuum pump. Now next is there's a snap ring inside here. It's not very fun to get to. A lot of people struggle with them, but a good pair of snap ring pliers and a pick, you can get the thing out pretty easy. I've done it a few times, so it's not exactly a terrible job for me, but the first time I did it was pretty difficult. I'll show you guys the snap ring. Let's see. I don't know if that'll focus in there. Let's see if I can get a light. You see the ends of it right there. You just got to get that spread out and get a pick and pull it. This is what connects the axle shaft to the hub assembly. It keeps it from floating away. And there's the snap ring right there. And from here, the hub assembly should come off. There's 15mm nuts on the back side. There's 4 of them. And those will need to be broken loose and removed. I'm sorry, they're not 15s. These are, I believe, 19. Nope, 21s. And it is easier with the tie rods off already because you can rotate it and get an impact in there to get these things off, because they are usually on there pretty tight. Now, next thing is, this is probably on there pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and take this cable loose, and I'm gonna bring the cable with it instead of taking the speed sensor out of the hub assembly. Sometimes these will have mud and stuff in them, and you just gotta get it to where you can get this tab pressed. And we're gonna just remove it. Okay guys, we're doing this video a little bit longer than normal doing this job. Just I'm taking my time to record this. This job can be done in one day. It's fairly simple to do, but I'm taking my time to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. And then we don't have the greatest weather this time of year in Texas. We've been getting a lot of rain. We've got some cold temps. We've got a lot of wind, and we don't have a whole lot of daylight because it gets dark earlier than normal for us. So just bear with me. So I'm going to do this video in parts. So where we left off, we'd gotten the ABS cable disconnected here, but I'm going to go ahead and remove it from this side as well, just so that you can see both ways of doing it. It's an Allen screw right here holding the sensor in the hub assembly. And then we're going to go ahead and get this hub assembly off, get the axle out, get this knuckle off, so that we can go ahead and start getting the new ball joints put in and get this thing put back together. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and get this off right here. Looks like it's probably going to be on a 5mm Allen. Yep, right there. Pretty simple to get that out, and then just kind of wiggle the sensor back and forth and it will come out of there. There's sometimes a little bit of resistance because it's got a O-ring in there. You just kind of wiggle it back and forth. Might need a flathead to get up under there. I used a little pocket screwdriver. Just kind of pry up a little bit while wiggling it, and it will come out. Sometimes they're stubborn. Just like that. There's a little O-ring right there. That's what's causing the little bit of pressure on that. And you can just slide it out right through the dust shield, just like so. Let it dangle. You don't want to pinch that wire whenever you're beating on the ball joints with the hammer or pinch it in anything. So I like to just get it out of the way. Now I've already got the hub assembly loose. We took those nuts off last time. So it literally just slides right out, and it'll bring the dust shield with it because it brings the studs with. So we're gonna go ahead and set this aside, and then we're gonna get the axle assembly out. That takes a little bit of prying because it does have a vacuum seal on there. I'll show you guys what that is here in just a moment. So to get this axle assembly out, right inside here is this vacuum seal. It's going to take a little bit of prying. You can see the dust seal is already broken loose. We're going to use this to pry against right here. So we're going to kind of get this one out of the way and then get the other seal off of there, and then use that as a leverage point to get this axle to come out. What I'm doing here is just getting that inner seal out of the way so that I can pry this straight out. And it sometimes takes a little bit of force to get this. Get this loose. I'm trying not to bump the camera here. May end up having to reposition the camera. Let's see. Let me try to get it from this way. heard it pop, and it slides right out. That popping noise was this vacuum seal breaking free, and at this point we can slide this entire axle out. Now going back together, to seat this onto the yoke and into the knuckle requires a special tool. There are two different tools depending on what year model you have. There is the early model, which is 99 through 04. That would be for the axle that has the leaf springs. And then there's the newer version of the tool that is for the ones with the coil springs. So I have both tools. I've done both of these style trucks multiple times. So that tool is required to seat this on without any damage, and it's required to seat it in here at the proper depth so that your vacuum four-wheel drive will work. If it's in there cocked at a different angle, or if it's not centered properly, your four-wheel drive may or may not work. You may have a vacuum leak in there to where it can't seal and pull the four-wheel drive hub lock in place so that it locks the axles. So in that situation, you may, if you engage four-wheel drive, your AC may go to defrost. That's a telltale sign of a vacuum leak. And then you may be left stranded with your four-wheel drive not working and have to get out in the mud, turn the locking actuator to lock the hubs manually versus using the onboard vacuum system. A properly working system, you shouldn't have to do that. So we're going to go ahead and get this axle out, and the next thing is we're going to get the cotter key and the castle nut off right here, get the nut off on the bottom, and then we're going to hammer these ball joints loose. I'll show you guys how to do that so that you can get these broken free, get the knuckle assembly out, and then we're going to start on the other side, get it torn down as well, and then we need to get the track bar and track bar ball joint out so that we can replace those. Once we have all that out, then I'm going to show you guys how to put it all back together and get this thing off to the alignment shop after we do the lift kit. So axle comes straight out. Keep it in a safe place, that way you're not getting you don't want dirt and debris on this right here, because that goes inside the differential carrier. You don't want to introduce any dirt and debris inside that. So we're going to keep it stored indoors, out of the wind. Okay, I don't remember what size these are right off the top of my head. So we're going to go ahead and get this cotter key loose and out of there. looks like this one's got a bunch of corrosion in between there. It's kind of sticking a little bit, but that's fine. Seems to be the common thing with this truck. Luckily, we have all new stuff going back on. There we go. We are bigger than 1 1/4 on that one. This one's a smaller one. So I like to back these out just enough, or leave them on there. I'll back them all the way out, leave them on a couple of threads, because whenever we start hitting on this right here to break these ball joints free, we don't want the entire knuckle to drop off of there. This one's 1 1/8 inches. So I'll leave a few threads on there. Let's see. Looks like that's going to be a 33 or standard equivalent. Not sure. One moment. Okay, so now that both of these nuts are just a few threads on, they're loose by hand. The ball joints have a tapered fit into the axle housing here. So whenever they're nice and tight for several years, the problem is they kind of seat in there. So what we need to do is we're going to strike the hammer on the axle housing, which is what the ball joints are tight into. We're going to strike it with a hammer several times on both the top and the bottom, and eventually the knuckle assembly will drop out of the tapered fitting. So we're gonna do that now. Careful not to hit this nipple, not to pinch the brake hose, not to pinch any the ABS wire or anything like that. Sometimes you need to rotate it the opposite way and hit the other side of it as well. And then sometimes these are stuck, so you want to put some counter pressure, just like this, to work it out. Try not to hit the camera with the hammer. And then sometimes you just have to go get a bigger hammer. Top is loose. And there it goes. You'll know whenever it drops, whenever the entire knuckle drops. And you can see that top ball joint right here has quite a bit of play in it. And from here, you just kind of want to lift up a little bit while you unscrew this last nut down here on the bottom. It's out, and the whole unit will drop out just like that. We got play on that one, a lot of play on this one. And then we will set the knuckle aside. We're going to clean up this housing quite a bit because it looks like it's had a little bit of leaking. We may end up doing those seals on the inside too, depending on if this is oil or if this is just liquid from it being out exposed. We're going to take this shim out. Now we're going to clean this one and reuse this one. It's a 0 offset. This right here, if you're not going to do the radius arm drop whenever you do a leveling kit or a lift kit to keep the geometry of the axle where it needs to be, if you're just going to do the pucks that go underneath here on the top, you're going to want to change this with an aftermarket offset. That way it'll bring the caster back to prevent from having any death wobble whenever you're dropping the diff. If you don't do the backside, you throw your angle of your caster off. That's between the top and bottom ball joint. You'll want to do an offset one that has it back here that will correct that for you. There are several different parts out there. I usually just use the generic ones. They're fine as long as the offset is what it needs to be. So this truck, we're going to do the radius arm drops, so we don't have to worry about that. We will get that corrected so that it will have a proper alignment. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to do everything that I did to this side on the other side so that I have both knuckles off, and we'll show you how to get the ball joints out, get the new ones in, and get all this cleaned up before going back together with it. So stay tuned. I'll be back shortly.